Thanks for joining our video demo series for the Oracle ZFS Storage Appliance. I'm going to spend some time now going over a basic overview of analytics, or what's known as DTrace analytics, built into the appliance. So analytics themselves are using DTrace in the backend operation, so they're very low overhead probes that are available. There's actually quite a few that are built into the system. Uh, you can see these over here under analytics and data sets. These are typically, there's probably 30 or so that are on by default. There's some other ones that have been turned on that aren't normal, but you can record more of those or less of those. You can change this on the fly. This screen just shows you which ones are being recorded. We can see by the green dot. It shows you how long they've been recording, as well as how much space they take on disk and how much in memory. You can control how much of this data you keep. This analytical data is actually kept on the OS drives, the boot drives of the system. And you can click on settings. This will give you the ability to create a retention policy. So you could say, for instance, keep per second data, for one month. You can keep per minute data for more, and per hour data for even more than, however you want to do it. But that's a possibility as well. So you don't fill up too much space with this analytical data. It's fairly small, but you can control it. You can also control it on individual ones. You can go to an individual analytic and click this little trash can. You can delete all of it. You can delete just a portion of it, keep everything. And you can older than so many hours, days, weeks, or months. You can also pick which ones you're going to get rid of. As far as when you first come in, all this data you see get as graphs. This is actually DTrace data, so you can actually get to the Analytics tab just by clicking one of these. So, for instance, you see here, we see NFS3. There's operations going on. We see network and disk. I can click any of these, and it'll take me to that point in time. So this is the current minute, the last 60 minutes, last 24 hours, last 7 days. So, for instance, I can just click on here. Show me the last 60 minutes of data happening for NFS3 operations on this controller. I can also, from here, switch around to different views at times. I can say, go to the current minute. I can say, show me the last 24 hours of data. I could say, show me the last week, the last month. I can switch back and forth. I can pause it. I can go back. I can zoom out on this thing. I can zoom in. Whatever's needed to do. These buttons right here let you find a low point for a period on the graph, the high point. This changes the view of the graph itself to a line, to a stack. This synchronization button, if you have multiple views opened up, it can different analytics. It can synchronize them all on this one. So if I really cared about this point in time, this 1532 or 332:13 point, I could click the synchronization button if I had multiples open, and it'll sync them all up so I could see what else was going on at the same point in time. So, for instance, I could see what was going on in CPU, what was going on in disk, on the network, on other protocols, all sorts of other things I could do with that. The drill down outcome, that is probably one of the more powerful things, and we'll talk about that in a second. But just quickly here on the bar, this one, if it hasn't been saved before, if it's so for instance, if I click on it, this is a good time to show the drill down. I can click on, for instance, let's say by file name. Oh, that's recorded. So let's try by share. Okay, there you go. So I'll hit play. And what you'll see is it starts off with a bunch of gray lines. So what happened is we opened up a new probe, a DTrace probe, an FS3 operations per second broken down by share that wasn't being recorded, and it was not one of the data sets that are being recorded. And so what the system does is turn the probe on, and it starts recording the data live as long as I keep the screen open. If I want to keep the data going forward forever, wherever all my retention policy is set, I can click here and just click the save, and it'll save it. If you click one, it's already been saved. It just give you a message, hey, sorry, saved. You don't have to worry about it. So now this probe is now turned on. And so this is showing me um, which project and what share is going on right now, is busy. So back to other things you can do with it. Oh, one other thing this also gives you the ability to export the data you see in this window. Um, so I can just click that, and all it does is create a CSV file that I can view the data just for the screen. If I wanted to see multiples, I could do that as well. I could pull multiple things via a script. So this is a good time to show you the synchronization. So for instance, you see this one is moving, the other guys are not. I can click, high point in here or low point. Um, and then I can click the synchronization button, and that will line them all up at the same time, and also that these other keep moving. So now I can click on here them and pause it. It's going to pause all of them. And I can take a look at the data. I can see, um, yeah, for this instance, what files are open. I can see what share they're on. The data is really, it gives you the ability to drill down and ask intelligent questions. Um, a good example of this would be drilling down and finding out this. In this case, I'm running virtual machines, and I can ask all sorts of questions. I could find out by what client. So, what virtual server or hypervisor is running this? So here you see I have two hypervisors. Um, each are doing some of the workload. I can see one is busier than the other. I could right click on him, and I can ask a lot of questions about him. I can say, oh, well, tell me what files. I know these are virtual servers, hypervisors. And I said, drill down on just this one server, this one virtual hypervisor server and tell me, break it down by file name. So this will actually show me individual file names, or in this case, VMDK files. So this is an actual virtual machine. So I can see exactly what virtual machine is doing this traffic. I can ask other questions such as what type of work this virtual machine is doing. So tell me, is he doing reads? Is he doing writes? What does his workload look like? And here I can see he's doing a combination of both reads and writes. Looks like he's doing mostly reads, but he's doing quite a bit of writes. Clicking over here, you might see a better view. If you don't click on a point in time, and to get rid of the point in time, if you click on it, you just click on the timestamp itself and get rid of it. What you see over here is the range average. So this is the average for this moving window. So it may not line up exactly because, for instance, here I have a much larger window than I do here. So I can continue asking questions such as, well, tell me more about the reads or the writes. I can right click on, say, just the writes. And I can say, well, tell me about the size. So what size of data is this? Is this file? And I come in here, and what I'll see is that the majority of the data is basically running about 4K blocks. Um, I can see that if I'm curious about these writes, I'm only looking at the writes. I can go in and tell me about the write latency for these files. And it's going to show me that. And so here we'll see, so far the latency looks really good. Don't really have too much more. The vast majority is way under a millisecond, the number of apps we're doing. So, right, latency looks good. Block size looks consistent. I could also look at, and what's interesting is this is very granular. So I'm looking at interface operations per second. I broke it down by which server it was on, then which virtual machine this was, and then tell me just about the writes and only the writes that are of this size, and then tell me the latency for the writes that are this size. So it's incredibly granular detail of what you want to see, what you can see. We can go look at the other server. So we'll go here, we'll drill down on the one named 7 server. And let's take a look at his block size. He has a mix, but it looks like the majority of the IOPS are probably 64K range. So what's interesting about this is he's probably moving quite a bit more data. So far, we're just looking at operations. You can also look at individual bytes as well. So we'll go NFS3 bytes, and we can look at that as a raw number. Just to start off to see how much we're doing. I could drill down here by client. I could drill down here by file name. We'll just go straight to the files. Since we know the workloads we're running, and here what we'll see is one of the machines is doing quite a bit more, which we already know about that one. This TP Win2 machine is the same machine we have up here, TP Win2, that we know is doing much larger blocks. So of course it's going to be doing more data. But it's nice to be able to correlate those things together. You could also correlate this with the network view. So we can go in and say, show me network interface bytes. We could break it down by individual interfaces. And let's go over here. Click that, and we see by far the vast majority of the data is going over this interface. We can also see disk analytics for the same thing. So we can go over here, look at disk. We can look at a disk IO, break it down by individual, by size. So we can see if our disk IO size is matching what we're doing for the most part. And you'll see all range because ZFS will correlate things together. But what we should see is quite a few of them are 64K, because that's where we're doing the majority of unwritten data is there. We could also break it down by individual drives from this point. Show me the drives that are doing that. So many other analytics available in here, highly useful, highly capable of giving you information to make intelligent decisions. One other feature worth mentioning is once you get a sheet of analytics that are valuable to you, you can save those by just clicking here in Untab Worksheet, giving it a name, and just simply clicking the same button. That will basically put it in here, Save Worksheets, and you'll be able to open this back up. Also, if you have any analytics that aren't recorded, it'll automatically save those, and that way you'll have all the data. That way, if you come back in a week or a month or whenever, you'll have all the historical data as well as the real-time data. So that's it for the analytical overview. Thank you so much for your time.